We're here at beautiful, a little windy Belmont Park, where today we have the chance to talk to sports talk show host Mike Francesa of WFAN here in New York. We have the chance to talk about the Belmont Stakes. He's a horse owner himself. We talked about what the future holds for him as he leaves his post hosting the afternoon drive show on WFAN, a post he's nearly had for 30 years. We'll also talk about politics. He knows Donald Trump well. We'll get into that. And we talked about Mike Piazza, who enters the Baseball Hall of Fame as a New York Met next month in Cooperstown. But that's for another day. That'll be part 2 of my interview with Mike Francesa. But today, part 1, we chatted right before his radio show, the day before the Belmont Stakes. All right, Mike, so we're here at Belmont Park, Belmont Stakes tomorrow. We had a Triple Crown last year. What are your thoughts on...
windiest place in America.
Yeah, it is the windiest place
here.
It
always is.
Always windy here. Belmont Stakes tomorrow, Triple Crown last year. What were your thoughts on American Pharoah?
He was a great horse. I mean, it's a great accomplishment. It's very hard to do, obviously. That's why it hadn't been done in so long. It takes a very special horse to do it. Everything has to break right, and last year you had a trainer who handled everything right, and you had a great horse. He got better as he went along in the competition. He was even better in the Belmont than he was in the first 2 legs, and it takes a very special horse to do it. That's all. You know, you knew you saw something very rare. There's been a lot of horses that came here with a chance. This is a very different race than any of the other races, so it's a rare feat, and that's why it's special. And you can't expect to see it very often. And it's a very different event. It's a great event when it's a Triple Crown, and it's a nice event when it's not.
So tomorrow we don't have a Triple Crown. Do you think we'll ever see a horse like American Pharoah again?
Yeah, sure. I mean, absolutely. I've seen a bunch of them. So yeah, we will. I mean, it might not be tomorrow. It might be 10 to 20 years, or it could be next year. That's the thing. You don't know. You had 3 right in a row. In a period of 5 years with Secretariat, Seattle Slew, and Affirmed, and then you didn't have one for a very, very long time. Spectacular Bid should have been one. A couple of the horses should have been winners, but weren't for different racing luck reasons. But it happens. There's some good horses that came through. Point Given was a really good horse. Didn't win the Derby. I mean, it happens. It's very hard to be right place, right spot, and get some racing luck. 3 races in a row, and especially in the Derby, you need a lot of racing luck. And here, it's about a very different thing. It's about stamina, and it's about being able to handle the 3 races in 5 weeks. Is very difficult. They don't train that way anymore. It's very against everything they do. Stake horses run once every 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
That's all they do now. To run 3 times in 5 weeks is atypical of every training method they use. So that's why it's just not something that it's very foreign to the modern trainer. So that's why it's very hard to do.
And you're a horse owner yourself, so
yeah.
I mean, training a thoroughbred horse is much different than standard horses you run, more often.
Right.
Can you explain the difference?
Great difference. The thoroughbred's a very fragile animal. He's a very fast animal. He's very hard on himself. If you're talking about harness horses or standard breds, they can run every week. They'll run 50 times a year. A good thoroughbred runs 8 to 10 times a year. An ordinary thoroughbred might run 20 times a year. That's a lot. 20 is a lot. I'd say 12 is more likely. And on a great horse, you might run 4 or 5 times in a year, depending how you set up this campaign. But the big trainers like their big horses to run once every 2 months. That's what they look for, with a couple of months off in the slower part of the year, like November, December, January, and then runs basically once every 6 to 8 weeks is what they look for when they're in form. That's all they're looking to do.
Let me ask you this last question on horse racing. Exaggerator's the favorite tomorrow. Do you think he wins?
He's the best horse. He doesn't have to win. It really depends on something we won't know, and that is how much the last 2 races have taken out of him. I would look for a fresh horse only because I think it's very hard to have your horse ready. That would mean to me that Exaggerator was a really good horse if he won again tomorrow, because it's very hard to compete in all 3 races. He's competed hard already in the first 2. So the horses that got a break, like Sudden Breaking News or a couple of the others, or a couple of the new ones, they have a big advantage because they're fresher and they've really been pointed to this race. So he'd have to be much the best. I would tell you right now, I would look to bet against him only because it's a very grueling thing for horses to do.
Mike, I want to ask you something about yourself. You were going to leave in 2017, correct? The end of 2017?
End of 2017. Yeah.
Now, you've had a great career, and you've talked about, I was there at the Talkers Conference at Hofstra, and you talked about the future for you, and you've mentioned on air as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, do you think that your future is to own your own company? Is it to grow talent? What is the future?
No, I think the future is to, I don't know about that, and I'm not sure what the future is yet, but I don't intend on not working. I intend on working, and I intend on, I'm a content provider. That's what I do, and that's what I expect to do, is provide content and provide my own content. How I provide that, that's the ever-changing story now. There's a lot of variables.
Especially with digital.
There's a lot of, I mean, the digital is where it is. I mean, so it's a very changing world. How you produce content over multiple platforms is what it's about now, and that's what I'll look into. So I just think it's time to draw the curtain down on this. I've done this for 30 years. Fortunately, it's went very well, and I just think it just feels like the right time for me. That's when my contract ends. I wanted to honor my contract, and finish there. And it's almost 30 years to the day, so it's a good time to go. So I think it's another year and a half. It'll go quickly because when I announced it, there was more than 2 years left. Now it's a year and a half, and by the time I come back at the end of the summer, it'll be just over a year and a quarter. So it'll go very fast. So I think 2017 will go very fast. So I'm going to look forward to doing everything one more time, one more round of everything in the year, and
one more show at Belmont.
Yeah, next year one more show at Belmont, one more show everywhere. So that'll be the idea after the fall this year. So it'll come fast. But it's been a great run. It really has been.
On your show, you don't just talk sports. Sometimes people call in, they ask you questions about politics and go in other directions. You're very knowledgeable in politics as well. Do you think that you would go in a different route?
No.
Would you?
No,
you're going to stick to sports content?
No, I don't want to be. A lot of people thought that I was looking to do a political show. I'm not.
You're not.
The only reason I even talked about Trump is because I know him. So, because he's been around so long, I feel like he's someone we know very well. He's a New Yorker. He's part of our fabric. He's part of our city. So that's the only reason he's come up on the show.
What's your opinion of Donald Trump as a person?
I think he's highly controversial. He's very capable, but he's run a very odd campaign. It's really something that is almost changing day to day. And it bears watching because he's taken some really weird steps here in the last couple of weeks. So he needs to get it back on the track. We've had some problems here the last couple of weeks.
Do you think for our country he would be a strong person to have, a strong leader?
Yeah, I think he would be. I don't worry about that, but I think he has to get his arms around how to run a national campaign. I think he's having some problems with that right now, and I think that's part of it. He's just got to learn. What he's accomplished is utterly remarkable. I don't think we'll ever see it again. This guy came out of nowhere to get a presidential nomination, which is.
It shows people are really sick of the establishment, right?
It's also what he's able to do. I mean, he was a brand. He was very well known. He played the media very well, and what he accomplished is getting the nomination was unbelievable. Because there's guys who have been career politicians their whole life and have staked out runs for the presidency and not been able to get the nomination. 17 people tried to get the nomination this year, and he got a nomination with no experience, coming out of absolutely nowhere. That's a remarkable achievement, but now it's even going to be harder from here on in. There's a lot of things he has to do right, and we'll see if he can put it together, but right now he's struggling. I'd say that right at this juncture, he's struggling a little bit right now.
Mike, have you talked to him recently?
No, I don't. I don't have that kind of relationship with him. I've been at a lot of events with him. I've seen him I've known him to talk to. I've sat with him at games, but it's not someone I talk to, on the phone or anything. I see him I've seen him at a million events. I've known him for probably 30 years, but I feel like I do know him, well enough to talk to him, and I've been around him a long time, so I think I know a little about him, but I wouldn't call us friends that way. No, we just know, we've both been part of the New York scene for a very long time, and we've been in the same place on many, many, many occasions. That's how I would put it.
Last question real quick before you do your show. Bill Parcells is actually here. I have a friend who talked to him at the barn the other day. He has a horse in the first race. Any notion on that?
That's you mean first race tomorrow?
Yes, first race tomorrow.
Yeah, hit it once more. I think he looks like a nice horse. I remember when he bought the horse. I think that he's in a little deep. Sometimes they need horses to fill races, Nothing wrong with taking a shot, but that's an ambitious spot for him right now. I think he's on his way to being a good horse, but he would surprise me if he won that race right now. I think it's an ambitious placing for him, but there's nothing wrong with taking a shot at $150,000. That's for
Yep,
sure.
absolutely. Mike Francesa, thanks so much.
Thanks, good luck
Appreciate
to you.
it. Thank you.